All right, we now move on to the dailies. Starting off with the Daily Nation, the main read being the degree battle concerning some 5 gubernatorial aspirants with a lot of question marks around the genuineness of their degrees. There has been a few petitions that have been brought forth concerning these candidates and the legitimacy of their degree certificates given. In order to run for the gubernatorial seat, you are required to at least have a degree in terms of your academic qualifications. This, of course, involves Johnson Sakaja, Cleophas Malala, Granton Samboja, Simba Arati and Mithika Linturi. I'll be giving you details in regards to these stories in just a bit. The main story here is in regards to the launching of the forensic lab yesterday. This is a boost for our country when it comes to getting at par with international standards when it comes to solving cybercrime, as well as many other criminal investigations that require samples to be shipped from Kenya to South Africa for analysis, then brought back to continue with the cases. That is what has been was being done over the years. But now with this ultra-modern National Forensic Laboratory, it is set to just be a game changer when it comes to boost the war against crime in our country. It is said that this particular building hosts at least 10 labs that focus on different aspects of criminal investigations. I will be giving you more details in regards to this story in just a bit. And finally, there's a very sad story here concerning an incident that happened in Nakuru this past Sunday, where a 19-year-old girl was hit, actually 2 girls. One was hit on the left arm and the other was hit by the same bullet through her chest. And this was a stray bullet from a police officer who was in pursuit of a suspected criminal. The bullet went through one of the young girl's arm, exited, and hit the next girl through her chest, and she did succumb to that particular injury when she was at the hospital receiving treatment. I'll be giving you details as per what has been captured in regards to this story, but it's a very sad incident, and also we need to take note of the incidents of insecurity that are slowly but surely mushrooming in different parts of the country. More details coming up in just a bit. Victor.
Yep, just goes back to the issue of stray bullets, negligence, and that irregular discharge when police officers are handling such kind of scenarios. All right, to the front page of the Star newspaper. Uhuru orders revamp of DCI cybercrime unit. Ministries of Interior ICT to come up with program in 2 weeks. This is to fight money siphoning through mobile services. That is what was happening yesterday. All right, court overturns 50-50 sharing after separation. It is an interesting read there, where a man says that he bought land, orders giving ex-wife equal share reversed. This is after one gentleman, Peter Gaido Machua, took the issue to the appellate court, saying that he purchased the property and another one in Kitengela, a loan where the loan was deducted from his salary. So that is the case as it is right now. You can take a look at that story. It's an interesting read there. We'll fight graft that has held Kenya hostage, says Raila Odinga. He was speaking yesterday in Kisii, where he pledged to fight graft that has stagnated the country's growth as he moved to consolidate his Nyanza backyard. Machakos none takes care of rejected people no one wants. The less fortunate in the society, the street children, and so much more. Ruto, how I will defeat Raila Odinga, hands down in round 1. Actually, he was speaking just the other day on another television live interview there, and during that interview, he raised 13 points that are at the center of his campaign, and that is according to the Ruto. 10 key scientific facilities in new DCI forensic laboratories. Jen also touched on that. The facilities include forensic fingerprint identification, forensic document examination, forensic ballistics, forensic chemistry, forensic biology, forensic imaging, and acoustics. Others are forensic evidence management, forensic crime scene investigations, forensic digital, and the forensic bomb and hazardous materials laboratories. Yeah, that should be it. And according to the story, Jen,
yes,
this was supposed to start sometimes way decades ago, but it failed to take off. That was in 2014, and it was under the Vision 2030,
yes,
but it failed to take through. So when President Kenyatta took over office, that was part of his agenda. And
actually, he did point out that it has taken the country 20 years to set up this lab because of corruption that has been a big challenge for the administrations that have gone before this particular government and also his government. He did attest to the fact that it has been a big challenge, but 20 years on, it's never too late.
Yes.
Doreen.
It's never too late. I mean, when you talk about the issues of corruption in this country, if we can find a way to see how we can at least fast track the cases, then could be a step in the right direction. Anyway, so coming to the front page of the People Daily, big names fight to remain in the race. That is what you're waking up to this Tuesday morning. This is even as some of this leaders are battling academic qualifications. Of course, the Senator Johnson Sakaja coming to the fore on this particular issue, you know, just well highlighted in a 2-page in respect to the same. I remember that despite the clearance that had been offered to him, still 4 cases have been filed against him, particularly when it comes to that issue of the certificate, the degree certificate. And again, as it stands, is that if any of these cases succeed, then he'll be locked out of the race. Then also what that perhaps could mean is, does IEBC have a lifeline in the essence, if at all he ends up being locked out after the verdict is given tomorrow by the dispute tribunal? Does IEBC have a lifeline to allow the party to nominate another person, or then how does this go in terms of the law and the legal standing thereof? I remember that this you know, when it comes to the degree certificate, also again, questions have been raised in respect to the Commission on University Education, which was a body that had been established to verify this certificate and certificates of various candidates or aspirants, if you may. And also questions have been raised on the Kenya National Qualifications Authority. So also how this goes is that particularly when it comes to presenting your papers to the CUE, this has to be either degree acquired in Kenya, or if it's not in Kenya, then whatever country it may be, it needs to be accredited and certified, and also needs to fall within the list of universities ascertained and acknowledged by the CUE. That is the Commission on Universities Education. So that's why you see a good number of them would say that I acquired my degree from Uganda, from Texas, from whichever place. But when you come to the listing of acknowledgements, then they do not fall within the list of CUE. So that's why you find a good number of them, much as they say they studied abroad or whichever country it was, still there's some bit of issues with their certificate. So we await this verdict by the dispute tribunal tomorrow, particularly on Sakaja's case, together with all those others that have been, who have these issues pertaining their different academic qualifications. And also away from that, even as the dispute tribunals continue to sit to hear the case of the various aspirants who are filed, which were filed to them. This comprises of 262 complaints which were filed countrywide following the clearance of aspirants. The tribunal has 10 days, began this on Saturday, and we also await the verdict of the different cases that were filed to them. So even as this is happening, the clerics have now waded in on the issue of water cleanup. This actually had been mentioned by IEBC together with KPMG, which again was the body that was given this tender to ensure that there's proper water cleaning. They said that this was to be postponed up until 17th, and like what had been slated in the law, which was to be 7th, whereby they were supposed to release the clear voter register. So we await up until 17th, whereby we expect for that cleanup to be complete as of then. This also includes over 1 million voters who are supposed to be, who actually are comprised in this cleanup, and this is inclusive of dead voters, those that presented duplicate documents, and also those that did not register with their proper ID. So this is just among the issues that also KPMG together with IBC is looking into. And lastly, gender role requirement illegal. This is what court tells agencies. This is just what was mentioned by Justice Anthony Rima, who said in his declaration, rather, he said that the decision contained in the letter dated April 27, 2022 by IEBC requiring the compliance within the 2000 General Rule principle in the submission of political parties nomination lists contravenes the Constitution for want of public participation. Remember that IEBC had required political parties to adhere to the 2000 General Rule when it came to the nomination process, but now, as it turns out, High Court has reverted that and says that it contravenes the Constitution because that was not subjected to proper public participation. Regina.
Public participation and such. Now we're talking about degrees, and there have been online some of the memes that have been trending in regard to, the verification of the various documents that political aspirants have presented. And one in the center stage of all this is none other than a Nairobi gubernatorial aspirant, Johnson Sakaja, whose fate will be determined on Wednesday. And there's a meme that has been going around that, please, if you went to your graduating class, tafadhali, you take photos for future reference. At least you show that you had attended that particular college or university. I wonder among us four who have those graduation photos. Jane, do you have yours?
Oh, yes.
Victor?
Standard practice.
Victor, can you show us your...
I think without a photo...
How will we know?
It's never complete.
Are you even African?
And by then you have to walk with that gown for like a whole day. Go to a restaurant, eat.
Na mshaino kwa shingo.
Exactly.
Panda matatu nayo. Kila mtu ajuli graduate.
Some people sleep with the gown. All right, not me though.
So then we wonder how, some people don't have the papers. Hey, do you wait to see? Let's
Regina.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Uko na photographic evidence?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Mimi mpaka kwa social media iko.
Yes, but for future reference. Just in case you say, oh, this lady, her papers.
How is she in this position?
Let's refer. Post of 2020 or 19, check. Yeah, I was. This is me. This is so-and-so. This is so-and-so. Evidence. Anyway, that's on a very, very light note. And that story about, documents and such has found itself on the front page of this particular daily, and I'm quoting the Standard, where Sakaja now cites name and booklet errors. According to the senator, he tells the tribunal the graduation booklet submitted omitted the page that had his name and insists the petition against him is politically instigated. Well, his fate will be known on Wednesday. Let's talk about matters of graft and how government has spent its monies. Remember, government does not generate its money. It's your taxes and mine. So the Auditor General has come out and given a report as to how government spent part of the 3.38 trillion shillings for the financial year 2020-2021. And they go with exposed state of grand wastage. Just days after President Uhuru Kenyatta warned the next government against wasting borrowed funds, the Auditor General report reveals how his administration could not account for billions allocated to various state departments. In a nutshell, these are the numbers. 1.6 trillion shillings is the amount of tax arrears that were not collected by KRA. 59 billion shillings. The Ministry of Water could not show how the amount moved to other state agencies. 59 bill. Then we have 12.5 billion shillings, the amount that the ICT Ministry was not able to account for, while 56.5 billion shillings, that's the cost of 61 state departments funded projects that have been delayed. Hola, your guess is as good as mine, and we're here trying to raise the debt ceiling, or already having passed, moved a motion to raise the debt ceiling to 10 trillion shillings from the current 9. So this is a report that has been detailed by the Auditor General's office, and the office and the Auditor General have chosen 5 words to talk about government spending in the financial year 2020-2021. Unsupported, unauthorized, unconfirmed, undisclosed, wasteful. So according to 50% of the books of accounts are submitted to the Auditor General's office for scrutiny, were given qualified opinion, which means, you know, when you get a qualified opinion, you think, everything is good. No. And as far as matters audits are concerned, is that if you get a qualified opinion, the material contains, misstatements or omissions in some cases. You can get, I'm sure the website is already up and running with that particular report. You can find them on their page there. That's the Office of the Auditor General. Also, when it comes to matters of election preparedness, with just 55 days to go, the Independent Boundaries and Electoral Commission is on the spot for losing critical election equipment with less than 2 months to go. Yes, that's another issue that has been brought up by the Auditor General there, Nancy Gadongo, who in an audit of the Electoral Agency's financials for the financial year 2020-2021 noted that of the 45,000 Kenya Integrated Election Management System KIMS procured and distributed in the run-up to the 2017 polls, only 44,993 exited results in an unexplained variance of 7 hits. Get the report, get to know how government spent part of, or if not all, 3.4 trillion shillings 2021 budget. That's just to give you a summary of what has captured the eyes of the scribes this morning, the various dailies. Remember, further details are available on our website. I'm Regina Manyara, and I wish you a pleasant viewing ahead. I leave you in the able hands of my colleagues. That is Jane, Victor, and Doreen.
Welcome back. We continue with a brief second half overview of the papers, and I want to pick up from that point that Regina left off in regards to the Auditor General. There's an interesting piece here over the civil registration services, where the Auditor General, that is Nancy Gathungu, poked holes on the credibility of the data that they are providing after it emerged that it can't fully ascertain that it has issued the correct number of birth certificates and death certificates. Now, besides looking at the responsibility of the civil registration services, they register and also issue birth certificates and death certificates, and they're supposed to do so in a timely manner. But I am sure, and also like to hear from you, Victor, when you go to, when it comes to collecting birth certificates or death certificates, the delay that is usually there, it is a disservice to the people. You register for the birth certificate, and you're supposed to await notification to go collect the birth certificate. But if you don't follow up, it will take you months on months just waiting to get that message that your birth certificate is ready. And I can tell you for a fact, once I applied for my son's birth certificate, looking at the e-citizen services, you're supposed to get it after about 4 weeks. But then it took almost 6 months of inquiring, and they keep telling you it's not ready, it's not ready. And when I got there, the name was even wrongly typed in. So now the Auditor General has poked questions into their credibility when it comes to the number of birth certificates, the number of births and deaths that they have recorded, because looking at a report that was done back in 2018, the Kenya Vital Statistics report of 2018 indicated that the national coverage for live births was put at 1.1 million against unexpected or Yes, an expected 1.6 million. That is 73% of what is actually thought to have should have been the correct number. And when it comes to deaths, they had estimated what's this? 192,000 against a 473,000 expected figure. So you can see the differences in these figures in regards to how accurate they are not being. And this is a big problem for the government because they can't fully rely on this data, especially when it comes to planning and resource allocation.
Yeah, and I think it's just about the mentality. When you go to pick such kind of documents, you are property of state.
Yeah.
When you're born, when you die, when you apply for your national identity card, you're a property of the state either way. That's why somebody said that when you want to commit suicide, the government will deal with you. If you survive, you are under the custody of the state. And so it's about the attitude, because when you're applying for these documents, more so the death certificate and the birth certificate, okay, we understand there is a backlog, of course, but then should it take 6 months or even months before you get that document? Some people apply for these documents for other reasons. The dependents, you want to, process issues of succession, so to speak, and there is that time limit that you're supposed to meet. And you're taking in cycles. I mean,
it can be very frustrating,
exactly,
for vital documents like birth certificates.
I think it's just a change of attitude.
Yeah,
there's nothing like
now with Huduma centers. They're supposed to make these processes as smooth, as efficient, as timely as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
Now,
just before you continue, Jane, let me just wade in on that a bit. I mean, even as talk about attitude, could it also be an issue of laxity in those institutions? I mean, you've applied, so you'll just get it at the end of the day. What's the hurry for? Could it just also be, just choosing to be?
Everything has been digitized because, so to speak, you are in, for example, you're in Mombasa and Huduma centers, all those systems are synchronized. So you're supposed to be getting all those, at the click of a button, you get all the information relayed on that end and they're good to go. So attitude and laxity, by they go hand in hand, but sometimes you understand people who are operating these offices, you can imagine.
But we can't just cast the blame on the guys that are on that end.
No.
We also have, us as citizens, we also have the tendency, nitaendea senye inaitajika. When you are trying to apply for a passport, ndio unakumbuka, sijachukua birth certificate ya mtoto.
And then you want it, you want it within the day in which you're going to request for it.
So it's a two-way street, looking at the government and your civil responsibility as a citizen. When you apply for these documents, follow up. Go get them. All right? Looking at the number of IDs that are lying, waiting for the individuals to go collect them at Huduma centers, it's also a big problem. Now, let me take you to Nakuru. This is the story that I had mentioned earlier on. It has been featured here on the front page of the Daily Nation concerning a Form 4 girl that was shot dead by police officers. This happened last week. The girl is Whitney Atieno, 19 years old. She was shot by a police bullet Sunday evening as she was getting her hair done at a salon. So it is said there was a commotion that was happening close by to this salon. Police officers approached. There was an altercation, and once they figured that this is the altercation was between the police and a suspected criminal gang, they opened fire. And one of these bullets hit two girls. The first one, it went through her left arm, and it went through her left arm, exited, and hit the next girl through her chest. The police officers, once they realized that they had actually shot this girl, they wanted to leave, but the people ganged up against them. Wakambia, mnapeleka msichana hospitali. What did the officers say? Tupatieni pesa ya mafuta, tumpeleke hospitali. The people rioted, and eventually the police officers did agree to take the girl to hospital, accompanied by one of the neighbors. But unfortunately, she did not survive this gunshot wound. Now the question still remains to what you had pointed, Victor, when it comes to opening a fire, and especially where there is a gathering of civilians.
all police officers and people who are trained to handle firearm, there are basics that they are trained. Number one key is finger off the trigger. Finger off the trigger. You cannot you cannot finger off the trigger. That's it. Number two, do not point that firearm to an object that you're not supposed to destroy or neutralize. That's it. If there's no threat, you don't have to raise that firearm, all right? Most of those people, actually, they say that it's gun ready low, all right? That position, you can withdraw it from the holster or whichever point, then you point it on the ground or away from the subject or the object, unless you want to destroy it. But then now, a situation where a stray bullet hitting an innocent girl who went to the salon. Two of them. The one that killed the lady, hit her on the, on the abdomen, ricocheted, and then hit the other girl also the side on her arm. It calls for panic, when these police officers go to, kind of contain a situation. It's a panic. So you just feel like the only thing I can do is just to open fire. I mean,
this is some scary stuff.
It's not an accidental discharge, if you can say. It's finger off the trigger, basic, simple.
Well, IPOA has taken up
peace
the case,
to the family,
as well as Directorate of Criminal Investigations. They have taken up the matter, but of course they did send their condolences to the affected families. Over to you, Victor.
All right, so tumalizie tukicheza kidogo. So all roads leading to Naivasha. Safari Rally again back. The president promised last year that tutarudi, and true to his words, we are heading to Naivasha. 50 drivers have so far confirmed participation in the WRC Safari Rally, which revs off on June 23rd in Naivasha. Hey, okay, we can all remember what happened in Naivasha last year. All the jokes and the memes and whatever happened, but the biashara was good there. And I hope it's going to be a booming business after the corona pandemic. So, if you have got some time, head to Naivasha and have some fun. Rev, but responsibly. Doreen.
Acha turudi kwa elections kidogo.
Yep.
And there's really one interesting article here just highlighting what the Roots Party president candidate is now saying, and also in respect to him defending, the growing of bang in public land. And this is why he says this is going to be important if at all he's elected as president. So he said that apart from growing the drug for commercial reasons, it will also be used for medicinal purposes. He further on says that the proceeds from the crop will be used to service public debt. Yes, remember that we talked about the fact that the public debt has now been, the debt ceiling has been raised from 9 trillion to 10 trillion. As we speak, we still have a deficit in terms of financing our budget of over 800 million. It is said that in every 10 shillings we make as a country, 7 goes to repaying of our debt. So clearly, this is why he says that this will be important, because it will be going to service our debt. Quite interesting. And lastly, just looking at this, a report that has been released showing that Kenyan election is the most competitive in the East African region. And this report further on says that unlike other countries in the East and Central Africa, opposition candidates can campaign more freely than those in most nearby countries, and the outcomes are usually uncertain even days before the voting actually occurs. And this is part of what pits Kenya as one of those countries in the African continent, largely in the East and Central Africa, is the country in which has the elections that are really most competitive. So that is what you have on the People Daily. Victor.
All right, so let's take a break, and when we come back, our discussion is up next with the Wakili Warungu Mwangi. We have got Tabitha Gut, who is a governance expert as well as political analyst, and Dr. Joseph Orotich. We are going to have that discussion that you don't want to miss. Let's take a break. We'll be right back with that.